Karz talks are facts or opinions, and opinions are facts. This whole Mustang Mach-e crash thing, yeah, it's crazy. I've already reported on it, and since my last video, I've received a bunch of negative feedback about the situation, and pretty much everyone agrees that there was nothing wrong with the car. It was purely the driver's fault because the driver was arrested for DUI. However, I'm not fully convinced that is the actual problem here. Not to say that the car did malfunction, but there's still so much to the story that so many people are choosing to overlook. And even my own questions from my last video have yet to been answered because people fully dismissed it altogether. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. So the craziest part about all of this, and I'm doing my best to not just make speculative content or to post fake content or whatever people have claimed I've been doing. I'm trying to figure out what's going on because the information that we currently have versus the video versus what people are saying, none of it adds up, especially if you have any mechanical knowledge. Doesn't make sense. With the DUI, first and foremost, they never said what the DUI was for. See, and I know this isn't really relevant, but kind of, because depending on the substance the driver was under the influence of, it changes things. People react differently to different substances. So not to say that this fully just negates this whole thing, but was he under the influence of alcohol? Was he under the influence of marijuana? Was he under the influence of some type of narcotic or opioid? It just says DUI and everyone is assuming it's alcohol, but I cannot find any actual concrete evidence or proof stating the specific substance that he was under the influence of. Different substances cause you to do different things. I mean, you know, if it was methamphetamines, there's a big difference, and that would explain a lot more. You know, we don't have that information. All we have is DUI. So moving on from that, there was this. So this is a interview from the driver who's recording the video that everyone's seen. So the local news station must have got in touch with him to do an interview, and this is what he had to say.
He was hitting the center median in the middle of the freeway, shooting over, coming back, taking off, driving normal. I mean, it was pretty crazy. He was against the center divider multiple times, even in the fast lane. So previously from him in the slow lane on the passenger side, he was grinding, doing a 50-50 rail ride on the driver's side as well for a while. So, I mean, for miles.
So this guy, the guy who recorded the whole video, said he bounced back and forth, side to side on the highway. He hit the left side, he went and hit the right side, so he's all over the place. So he's hit each side of the highway multiple times and did this for miles. The vehicle's obviously detected an impact. That's why the hazard lights are on. We discussed that in the last video. But here is a big but. And this is another, just one of them deep dives into what's really going on here. As I was doing more investigation on all of this, I stumbled across this, and someone mentioned that the airbag deployment cuts off the high voltage battery. Okay, so why do I bring that up? Well, if the guy who recorded the video claims that he bounced back and forth pretty hard, hitting both ends of the barrier on either side of the highway, you would think that would deploy the airbag. So from my research, the Mustang Mach-e should deploy airbags from a side impact at an 8-mile-per-hour collision if it detects. I mean, I'm sure that guy ramming up and side to side of that highway at highway speeds would definitely exceed the amount of force needed to trigger the airbags, right? Well, come to find out, evidently, side impact sensors for the Mach-e aren't that sensitive or malfunction, because here is this post here. Someone was complaining that they have a pretty serious impact to the side. Now, it says, what will it take for airbags to deploy? The auto body shop suggests based on the location of the sensors, it might not have triggered. Okay, so it looks like the Mach-e doesn't like to set airbags off. So when the airbags were deployed, when the guy hit the wall, the car should have shut down. I think that's what I was trying to understand from my first video, because I was reading the collision and post-collision systems are supposed to stop the vehicle. But if it didn't detect a collision from any aspect of the vehicle, no matter how hard this guy seemed to have hit the wall, it's not going to set off the airbags. And I guess that doesn't trigger the collision system, the post-collision system. So I guess there's the answer for that. But why? And that brings up the new question. Why didn't the airbags go off? They should have, right? That's what I think they should have. So I have to wonder, what is really all wrong with this car? Is it the car? Is it the driver? Well, I've dug even further, and there's this whole Reddit post with pretty much a list of things that are the most common issues that have been reported. This being the major one, which there was a recall for this, and HVBJB, that stands for high voltage battery junction box. Okay. It says this was mainly on the 21 to 22 Mach-e, mostly on the GTs, but did happen on other versions, and the power contacts were welding themselves due to too much current flowing through them. Ford had a recall that replaced them, while some users have had to go in for a second replacement. For many, the issues were fixed, and Ford also issued a software update. Some 2023s and 2024 owners have reported this issue as well. But like anything else, things can break or be faulty. Even though there are other things here, that's the one I'm mainly focused on, okay? Moving on from that, here is another story of someone getting a bunch of faults on their vehicle, multiple collision faults, ABS, hill start assist, pre-collision assist. 2022 Mach-e, been driving fine until Friday when error messages appeared, seeing multiple faults at startup, including hill start assist warning, pre-collision assist not available, anti-lock brake fault, service advanced track, and more. The vehicle has about 70,000 miles. They charged the 12-volt battery and the main battery, and neither resolved the issue. Someone said, "Good morning. I had the same thing happen to me last night. Terrifying, to be honest." And it says, I have a 2021 Mach-e with the same issue. I live in Wisconsin, and it's been bitter cold. After parking outside of the gym for a few hours, I couldn't even move the dial out of park. Someone else in the forum posted a solution having to do with the high voltage battery box. We are seeing the same thing. We took it to the dealer for a parking brake fault. They changed out the wire harness, reprogrammed. Prior to the IMPA reprogram, we were only getting the parking brake fault. After, as reported, fixed, we were having multiple intermittent faults at startup 5 times in one day. Winter weather here too. The issue related to the speed sensor, I think it was the left rear wheel repaired and it's driving fine since. So a wheel sensor caused all of these issues. On top of that, there is a bunch of problems with these issues that are caused by that high voltage battery junction box. And evidently, these problems became so bad that there's actually lawyers out here trying to go after Ford for these problems because they're huge safety issues. And all of this, this is a whole thing from this law firm. Ford sold nearly 49,000 Mach-e vehicles that were later recalled due to the defect in the battery main connector, a critical component that regulates power flow from the battery to the vehicle system. During fast charging or heavy acceleration, the contactor may overheat, causing sudden loss of propulsion, inability to start the vehicle, disabled safety features like airbags and braking assist, reduced acceleration and charging performance after software updates. Ford issued an over-the-air software update to mitigate issue, but lawsuits allege that this fix is inadequate and fails to address the underlying design defect. Here is a proposed theory. I'm not saying this is what happened, merely a theory based on this new information, okay? Since there's nothing else that seems to be relevant that I can find. If this guy hit the wall, okay, let's say this particular Mach-e did not have this recall performed, or perhaps it did, or in some cases it seemed the recall fix for this battery junction box connector was inadequate. What if during the impacts it damaged that connection, or if the connector wasn't properly seated all the way during the repair, maybe it knocked it loose and it caused it to have a problem? That's a possible theory. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's a possibility given the information we have. There's just so many weird aspects to the situation that there's not enough answers to. And it's pretty much just been, DUI, guy was drunk, car is fine, Ford rules, everyone sucks, everyone should get sued for plagiarism because they have legitimate concerns over people's safety of autonomous driving or modern safety features on vehicles. And that was the end of that. And I don't know, man. I'm not fully convinced that this was purely out of a DUI driver. I mean, I just feel like the car should have done more. The impacts should have triggered the airbags. Had the airbags been triggered, the car would have stopped. Or maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know. I mean, from what I can see. And I just find it strange that people are so quick to jump and defend this, like so aggressively. Okay. You know, I'm not sitting here saying this was the car's fault. I think there was some contributing factor. It's weird that people are so offensive and to defend this. It is weird. And evidently, you know, this is not the first time the Mach-E has faced problems regarding crashes. This particular instance is really interesting. This was a crash, or I shouldn't say caused. I say this crash included a Mach-E that was in Blue Cruise. And there's been two instances of this, two reported incidences of this. And if you read through, this is basically a whole story. And I'm just going to summarize. But it was at night on a supposedly, you know, properly lit stretch of the road. So, you know, it wasn't like a super dark backcountry road. It was a very brightly lit highway at night. And there was a vehicle on the side of the road on the shoulder. Apparently the vehicle was disabled. It did not have any lights on or nothing. So the Mach-E traveling in the lane next to the shoulder in Blue Cruise somehow managed to veer out of the lane and striking the vehicle. In this story, they say that the driver of the Mach-E was also under the influence. But I have to agree here. So the defense lawyer, of course, their job is to defend their client, even if they're in the wrong. But he makes a good point. This is the only part of this I'm kind of bringing up. According to the defense lawyer, the woman could argue that the system failed to act appropriately and contributed to the crash. I would have to agree. So the car was in, you know, self-driving mode. It navigated itself out of the lane, at least far enough to strike the vehicle that was sitting on the shoulder. So why did it do that? I don't know. It shouldn't have done that, which leads us to the last part of this story, going into one of the most popular self-driving vehicles to date. And that's Tesla. Tesla supposedly has the most sophisticated autopilot system of any EV or autonomous driving vehicle out there from any manufacturer. So this is a Tesla Model 3 on autopilot. Look how it just swings itself into the ditch. Look at that. It was right after this vehicle passed. It's like it freaked it out and then it swerved straight into this tree, into this fence line and rolled over. It's kind of crazy. And there's a lot of videos of Tesla autopilot malfunctioning like this one.
Hopefully we don't get caught at the train track this time of day.
Look at that.
A little awkward.
It was about to go. It was about to turn right in front of that truck. These systems are not without extreme faults. The reason why they tell you to take over is for stuff like this. I would not be comfortable letting a vehicle do this personally. I don't think this technology is safe. I don't think it will ever truly be safe. I think it will get better. I don't think it will ever be truly safe. It's just crazy to me, like I said, that so many people want to defend this without openly think that maybe we should reconsider the safety and our priorities of this technology. Maybe that these cars do have or are susceptible to serious problems because, look, I'm no software engineer, okay? But I can tell you right now, hold on, I'll be back. I have this device right here, okay? Anyone who knows what this is an OBD2 interface for tuning vehicles. Okay, so I use this to tune a Ford Mustang. Why I'm bringing this up? Because you wouldn't believe how complex the software is for this system and to change the parameters within the vehicle. And we're talking a gasoline-powered vehicle, okay? This is not some super high-tech EV. So Ford uses a algorithmic strategy in a lot of their vehicles, which basically, you know, can alter things based on certain conditions and things it's basically constantly variable and can constantly adjust to different conditions. And I would imagine a lot of the same strategy and the way they design the vehicle system applies to the EVs as well. And let me tell you, because it's algorithmic based, you change one parameter, you can change one single parameter by one digit. It will throw everything off, and it could potentially make the car operate in a way it shouldn't. So then that leads me to believe that, you know, people I think underestimate exactly how sophisticated the systems are on these vehicles and how complex they are, because even me, with just the very basic understanding of how just Ford implements their strategies for the ECM and TCM and the vehicle functions, I can only imagine how they are for the EVs and all the functions for autopilot systems and all of those safety things and how they interact with all of that. So here's one last thing I'm going to say. So if these systems are so complex from a software standpoint or a programming standpoint, who's to say that if the vehicle is receiving over-the-air updates, since this has been reported that over-the-air updates have caused even more issues, that over those updates that something, you know, one of those files gets corrupted or something gets changed, or whoever coded the update made a mistake and one thing was off, and then that automatically applies to your vehicle without, you knowing, because it's supposed to be a courtesy that it just easily updates itself. And then all hell breaks loose because now it's malfunctioning. These systems are so complex, even the engineers who design them have troubles figuring this out. So it's going to take a very, very, very long time for these systems to get to a point where they can be mostly trusted, because as of now, you couldn't pay me to trust any of these systems. But the basis to the video is I still think there's more to this Mach-E crash than people are willing to accept. Say what you want. You're free to say whatever in the comments. I just do believe that there is more to this. I wish we would receive more updates. Maybe we will. If I find more updates in the future, you bet your damn ass I'm going to report on it, because I am curious. I just don't think we're going to. I don't think we're going to see it. And as of now, it is what it is. So I don't know. Take it for what it's worth, I guess. That's all I got to say about that. Anyways, let's wrap it up here for the video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with everyone you know. If you want to see more content like this and you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for next Car Talks video.